What's up everyone? Today we got a TWID from Bungie over the new season next week called Season of the Wish. I'm not going to go over the whole TWID in this video, but I will touch some of the build crafting parts of this TWID and explain how this will affect build crafting and if these changes are any good or not. So for this full article, if you want to read it yourself, I will put that link in the video description along with the Fireteam Finder article they posted earlier today in the video description. In the background gameplay, you're going to see some Stasis gameplay. This is because we're going to be getting some Stasis changes in this TWID and also next week when the season drops. This TWID and the Stasis changes is only touching the surface of what they're going to be changing for Stasis. So once those changes come out, I will make another build over another Stasis video for you guys to understand how everything works and a good build with it. But before the next season, I will make a quick Stasis Warlock build with turrets just to prep for the next season, just so you have a build ready for the next season. And that video will be out this weekend. So make sure to get some popcorn, get some snacks, chillax, and let's get into the video. So first, I do want to touch on some of the ability changes coming next week. Wolf of Mail is going to be getting a reduced damage resistance versus PvE combatants from 55% to 45%. This is not a big deal in my opinion, because it was pretty overpowered with the Wolf of Mail, because we already have 30% with 100 resilience just as it is. So with the 55% from Wolf of Mail, just by picking up an orb or throwing a tangle at your feet with Titan, that was just a lot. And I can see that. So going down 10% with this is not too bad. Next, I go over the restoration. I really didn't think times 1 needed to be changed, but they did either way, just by 5 HP per second. But with the restoration times 2, they reduced it from 65 HP per second to 50 HP per second. That's a 15 HP per second loss. This, in my opinion, also isn't too bad because restoration times 2 was actually really overpowered, in my opinion. And I didn't think it needed this harsh of a nerf, but I knew it needed a nerf eventually. And it was going to get a nerf eventually. Next, let's talk about Devour. Void Warlocks are going to be very happy about this. Basically making Devour more smoothly. When you have it procced, you're going to get your health and shield back more smoothly, rather just adding health. And also for Feed the Void, for the aspect for Void Warlocks, you'll get additional grenade energy regeneration per kill while Devour is active. And this amount varies based on the type of target defeated. But also now it also improves the strength of Devour's heal when equipped. So Void Warlocks jump for joy for that one. They did change a lot of sprint and slide melees. They basically did this just so you can't shoot before you use your shoulder charge. For Tempest Strike, they increased the damage from 110 to 125 and just improved the consistency over time. They also changed Banner War and Bonk Hammer. Banner War basically just increased the number of enemy defeats necessary to level up the banner by approximately double, but also increase the time before those stacks go away. For Throwing Hammer, this is a big one. When picked up, now returns melee energy over 1.4 seconds rather than instantly. So now you can't just keep throwing your hammer constantly on enemies. You have to wait 1.4 seconds in between each pickup. This is definitely going to be a lot of lost damage, especially if you're trying to do a solo flawless dungeon or something like that with Bonk Hammer. This is definitely going to be a lot of lost damage. For Soul Invictus, they basically reduced the maximum sunspot duration from 20 to 12. And this is when you're standing in the sunspot. When you're not, it's still going to be 5 seconds. And then for Well of Radiance and Ward of Dong, so the bubble and well, they're basically just increasing the base cooldown. This is one of the big main points of this video. So we're going to be talking about Stasis. Again, in this TWID, they didn't really explain a lot about how they're going to be changing the aspects and fragments. But they said when the season comes out, you'll see in the patch notes how they're going to be changing each one. But right here, they removed a lot of penalties for fragments. This would be good just for build crafting in general. Withering Blade is going to be gaining a buff to projectile speed and also just consistency as it's going and bounces and all that. Winter Shroud is also gaining a buff, so it's getting increased slow stacks from 40 to 60. They're also increasing the slow duration from 4 to 8 and increasing the radius of the slow from 8 to 9 meters. I'm glad they're increasing the slow stacks because I think it's really needed it. And this, I just feel like in general, this aspect is kind of weak just because it's all just revolving around your class ability and all it does is just slows. So I hope they do something to Winter Shroud. All we can do is really just hope. For Titan Shiver Strike, the melee now slows players on hits. So this is for Crucible, fixing an issue where Shiver Strike would not function with the melee Kickstart armor mod. So I'm glad they did that. So now you can actually use your Shiver Strike and get that melee kickstart to give you more melee energy. For Glacial Quake, now freezes enemy players on cast. So that's for Crucible again, and this is also for Crucible on cast. Freeze impulse size versus players has been reduced from 8 to 6 meters. Hollow Storm aspect in Titan, fixing an issue where the Hollow Storm was not consistently freezing targets in contact with the created stasis crystals. So that's good. I'm glad they'll be changing that and buffing that. Frost Pulse. This is the aspect for warlocks. Basically, when you use your rift, everything around you gets frozen. They're increasing the consistency against fast moving targets and also increasing the radius of the freeze from 8 to 8.5 meters. For the melee for warlocks of Penumbral Blast, they're increasing the size of the detonation from 1.5 meters to 2 meters. This is for the freeze. The Glacier Grenade, this is one of the big ones that's going to be influencing my build I'm going to be making this weekend. Glacier Grenade reduced base cooldown time from 152 seconds to 121 seconds. This would be very nice just to get this grenade back in general. And this also ties into our Bleak Watcher aspect, the turrets. And basically right here, they're just saying that the cooldown penalties for Dustfield Grenade and Cold Snap Grenade when Bleak Watcher is equipped is also just going to be the 121 seconds. For the Cold Snap Grenade, they're basically just fixing a lot of tracking strength and inconsistent aiming of the Cold Snap, so hopefully that'll fix it for PvE. And for Freeze, increase special ammo weapon damage bonus versus frozen targets from 5% to 10%. So that'd be good, especially with the sniper buff that's going to be coming next season. That's going to be nice. This is where I said earlier that they're going to be talking about more stuff they're going to be changing next week. So a new stasis keyword is also going to be coming called Frost Armor. It's going to be equivalent to Woven Mail and just having that DR for stasis. Additional tuning changes and reworks to existing stasis fragments. So I'm glad about that, and adding additional behavior to harvest aspects. I feel like those definitely need those because all they do right now is just make those harvest stasis shards, and having something else towards them would be very nice. And moving those like creating stasis shards to the fragments would be very nice. I'm not going to go over all the exotic changes in this video, but I will go over some that I found really interesting and I can see a build being very easy to make out of. First one being Ophidia Spathe. Knife kills now grant a stacking bonus damage, so plus 30%, plus 60%, plus 100% for 5 seconds to throw knives. Dodging refreshes their duration. So Ophidia Spathe already gives you 2 knives in general, so getting kills, you can get up to 100% damage with your knife for 5 seconds. So having fan knives in the ignitions constantly, I feel like this is going to be a really good build that you can make. For Bombardiers, this actually might be pretty interesting. They're increasing the slow stacks of the Bombardiers to 40 stacks of slow. You can also pair this with the Winter Shroud to get instant freeze around you. For Severance Enclosure, I'm actually very interested to see how this is going to work. Increased size and damage of the explosion, and kills with the exotics explosion will now trigger an additional explosion. I wonder if this is going to be like a chain of reaction kind of effect, and I really hope that is the case because that would be very nice if there is. And also Paragon Greaves. Now you do have to be airborne a little bit longer for the exotic effects to apply, but damaging champions, tormentors, and mini bosses with a shoulder charge deals further increased damage and refunds your melee energy. I can see a big loop happening there, where it's refunding your melee energy by attacking those kind of targets. And I can see a lot of damage coming out of that. Another one is Worm God Caress. They're basically reworking the whole thing, so now it's going to be a meter system. So after getting melee kills and finishers, this will decay over time, but once you get to the upper end of the meter, you will have a weapon bonus damage. And you'll also get the melee damage and a glaive damage. So this actually might be very interesting for making builds. And lastly, for the Aeon Cults, all 3 of these are very interesting. You can read them right here if you want to, but it's basically just adding more benefits to all of these. I think they're all going to be pretty good, especially for GMs in general. And I can see a 3-stack team using these. And lastly for this video, I just want to talk over the armor mod changes. To start off with, Heavy-Handed, Firepower, and Reaper. These now have a 10-second cooldown for generating overpower. Reaper also requires a kill to be secured within 10 seconds of using your class ability. And then the rest of these is melee kickstart, momentum transfer, outreach bomber distribution. Other ability effects and just regaining of energy for your abilities is going to be all reduced. And this is also depending on how many stacks of the mod you have. So you can go up to 3 stacks of the mod. They have that listed here. Either way, I am not too fond of these changes, especially the ones with the orbs. There's not going to be as many orbs now. And either way, I didn't think that was too much of a problem in general. I don't see why they kind of attacked it. I guess I kind of see because they did say before that they want to focus on weapons more than abilities. But that's what makes Destiny Destiny, is having those abilities and the super and everything that's different for those things, like verbs, the subclasses, and having supers that's very unique, and having exotics that just completely buffs everything. So I guess we'll have to see how this plays out. But as a build crafter in general, and just loving this game for build crafting. This is definitely going to be a shot in the chest for me, and I bet for a lot of you guys as well. And for all these changes, I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this, so let me know what you guys think about these armor mod changes. And with these changes, I can see the elemental charge mod being used more, and the objects for the subclasses being used more. I think everything else in this TWID was really good, and the exotic changes were very good, along with the artifact perks. I know I didn't go over it in this video, but reading through them by myself was actually pretty fun, and I can see a lot of build crafting ideas from those artifact mods. Also, the changes to abilities I mentioned before is actually not too bad, so I don't dislike those too much, but these armor mod changes are definitely the bulk of this that I do not like. And again, let me know what you guys think down below. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving and a great rest of your day.